I personally was not shocked at all at how young men overwhelmingly voted for Trump in this previous election, despite how Gen Z talks about how progressive they are. If you are curious as to what is happening on the internet that is radicalizing young men, this podcast, you need to listen to it. It's available on YouTube, it's everywhere. This specific episode of Offline with Jon Favreau features Laura Bates, who infiltrated some of these communities online, and the stories that she tells are horrifying. The way that the algorithms work to recruit young men to hate women, the amount of men who just see hateful content about women, the way that it starts kind of innocuously and the way that it gets more and more radical and more horrid is something that all feminists need to be aware of.
Feminists. Infiltration, blaming the algorithm, not at all addressing what are these men talking about? What's going on with young men? Why are they leaning more conservative?
The feminist response when I start talking about this is usually something about like, I shouldn't have to hold men's hand and explain things to them, but we do. And we need to explain them why patriarchy hurts them too.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
Wow. Explain men why they hurt themselves. I think till this day, the best response I actually have seen when it comes to questions people may have at why young men are desperate for male platforms and need healthy male platforms and outlets is the response I saw on the Diary of the CEO. Check it out.
What do you think of Andrew Tateism then?
So as a general rule, I don't comment on people that I don't speak to.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me the features of what you're talking about.
Okay, so the recent wave of internet masculine influencers who have like Bugattis and lots of women and sports cars, and there's many of them. There's many of them, and they seem to be resonant for some kind of reason. That are kind of saying that the way to be a man is to have loads of money, lots of women, these kind of cars, physical strength, and there's just this huge sort of generation of young, typically men, that are now disciples of that religion.
Yeah. So I think if you dislike that toxic masculinity, what we need to understand is it's the people who hate that toxic masculinity that are driving these people towards it. So I know this is kind of crazy. So what's happened is this has grown, right? And as it's grown, what have we done? We've demonized these people. We've said these people are bad. And as we demonize them, what's happened? They've grown stronger. So this is something that's very important to understand. If you are a man and you say, I am suffering today, what is the response that you're going to get?
Shut up. We have bigger things to worry about, like women's issues.
Shut up.
Absolutely.
Not in those exact words, but that's whatever the words are, that's what they mean.
Now, I want us to be very, very careful, right? So if you are listening to Steven say people tell you to shut up, and your first thought as a listener is, no, that's not true, that's the problem. So if people agree with you, they understand what you're saying. But if they disagree with you, that's the problem. We literally have a man who is telling us right now that your experiences when I say I'm suffering, people tell you to shut up. And then people are going to be judging you for saying that. And they're going to be saying, no, that's not true.
They're going to be saying, shut up.
Absolutely. Right? So this is exactly the problem. So men are struggling right now. And the rest of the world says, no, you're not. You're privileged. You're a man. There's a patriarchy. And I'm not commenting on the sociology of it. There is a patriarchy, whatever. Men have many advantages in life. I've experienced many advantages of being a man. It's absolutely true. Let's not go there. I'm talking about the individual experience of men. So there is one group of people on the planet who says, yes, your life does suck. And that's these toxic masculine people. They're the only people that truly validate men's experiences. Because everyone else says, why are you complaining? And these guys say, yeah, you're a loser. What are you going to do about it? They at least meet you where you're at. And they say, yes, your life is hard, and I will show you a way to make it better. Whereas the rest of the world says, no, your life isn't hard. What are you complaining about? And I've seen this as a doctor. I've seen patients who are complaining about pain, women who are complaining about pain because they have an internal bleed within the wall of their uterus that cannot get detected. And they're saying, I'm hurting, and we ignore this person's pain. And that's when things go bad. So for years and years and years, we have ignored the struggles of men. And there's one group on the planet who accepts them with open arms. And the more that we demonize them, so when someone starts believing in this toxic masculinity, what is the response? Do people ever ask, like, help me understand what your life is like? Like, what do you like about this person? because everyone's going to them for a reason, but we never bother to ask, why are you listening to this person? What does this mean to you? We see these posts all the time in our community. My boyfriend is getting into this stuff. My son is getting this stuff. How do I stop it? Hold on a second. Don't try to stop it. Understand it first. Because everyone's trying to stop it and no one is bothering to listen to what the experience of these men are. And that's why it's getting worse and worse and worse as we try to stop it.
So if I'm the mother of a son who is watching a lot of these sort of toxic male influences online, what would be a better approach versus just banning the computer and telling them that that's toxic and not to look at it?
Help me understand what you like about this. What is it like to be a man in today's day and age? How do you feel about yourself? How does it feel knowing that 70 to 80% of women want you to make more money than them, and yet 60% of people who graduate from college are women?
All right. Yep. We're getting into it.
So men are living in a world today where there are impossible expectations to meet. And so, like, what is it like to be someone who fundamentally has no chance at success? Right? These are the kinds of things that you need to say to these people. You need to give them an alternate place to go where they can be heard and helped, supported, and understood. See, anytime we make a judgment, our mind already has a conclusion. There's nothing left to learn anytime we're judgmental. So what do we do to all these people who are toxic men? We even create the word toxic. We literally label them as bad in some way. And I'm not saying that the behavior isn't toxic. But what I'm trying to point out is that even in our language, there is so much harsh judgment. So I once had a patient.
We both just did it, didn't we?
Absolutely. So I once had a patient who was smearing.
Well, I think everyone can stand to learn from that comment right there, including myself.
Feces all over the school. So adolescent kid, right? And when you have a kid who's literally taking a shit and wiping it on the walls and stuff, what happens? The kid gets punished. Kid gets punished again and again and again. The one really sad thing is no one ever asks, why are you doing this? What's going on inside you? Because healthy kids don't do this. It's only kids who've been traumatized in some way. And as I've worked with incels, as I've worked with people who are toxically masculine, it always starts with trauma. And when I say always, this is a clinical experience, but I'm talking about 100%. So 100% of people start on this path by getting hurt in some way, by getting taken advantage of in some way, by sacrificing something and not getting something in return. And they have their share of responsibility too. I'm not saying that they're hapless victims, but I think that people who are raised with love and compassion and do have connections don't go down this road.
You're so passionate about this, aren't you? Because I feel like your eyes have seen in your practice some pretty heartbreaking things.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like, see, unless we are willing to be what these people need, they're going to continue going down the toxic masculinity route. Someone needs to start offering these people safe haven. No matter what they say, or not no matter, I think there should be consequences for actions. But so this is as someone who's worked in a jail, right? So this is what's kind of interesting if you really think about it. People will judge me for talking to or even trying to support people who are toxically masculine. And they're like, oh my God, you're such an giving these people a platform. How could you make the world a worse place? And then I tell them I worked in a jail for 3 months, and they're like, oh, look at you. You're so compassionate. You're working with these people who are like criminals, and like, oh my God.
Wow.
I don't think they realize that anyone you see on social media is 10 times better than the people that I worked with in jail.
Wow. What a great example. Listen, if you guys want to go check out Dr. K on the Diary of a CEO, you can listen to that more in detail. He has a lot of good things to say, but that take right there in response to the question that a lot of people have when it comes to young men, I think needs more attention. More people need to see what young men need today in particular through that lens. As always, guys, I'm curious to know, what do you think? Leave your comments down below. I appreciate you checking out yet another episode of The Coffee Pot. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.